Alan Ritchson's must-see performance as a struggling superhero prepared him for Reacher. The star of the hit action crime series Reacher, Alan Ritchson has established himself as the iconic drifter from Lee Child's series of novels. With his powerful presence and unmistakably formidable stature, Ritchson commands the screen with all the gravity one would expect from the wandering hero. While it seems only natural for Ritchson to take center stage as the lead in an action franchise, his earlier career took him down a different path, which included a brief stint as Aquaman on Smallville and a lost opportunity to play Thor in the MCU. But even before becoming Reacher, Ritchson had already demonstrated the gravitas needed to portray a practically superhuman vigilante in the gritty and atmospheric series Titans. A darker reboot of the comic book's first family of sidekick teams, Titans sees the titular group navigate their complex interpersonal drama as they band together to fight injustice. Despite not being one of the central characters, Ritchson's performance in Titans is one of the most compelling in the entire series, and arguably for his entire career. Ritchson's portrayal of Hank Hall, a troubled but strong-willed vigilante, perfectly illustrates his acting talents, showing off his ability to play a complex range of emotions while maintaining an unimpeachable and assertive presence on screen. Alan Ritchson plays a member of the Titans with a tragic history in Titans. Ritchson steps into the shoes of Hank Hall, one half of a crime-fighting duo known as Hawk and Dove, and a founding member of the Titans. Hawk is a bruising brawler of a superhero recognizable by his signature red cowl and distinctly physical fighting style, despite his lack of metahuman abilities. Hank's path to becoming a vigilante is incited by traumatic tragedies that occurred in his youth. As a young boy with rising potential in football, Hank was sexually abused by one of his coaches. Though he is able to spare his brother Don, Elliot Knight, from the same abuse, Hank carries tremendous pain and shame over the incident. After being expelled from university due to a fight, Hank and Don decide to seek justice for other victims of abuse and become the vigilantes Hawk and Dove, apprehending countless child abusers and pedophiles. The two are even able to take down a child pornography ring before Don's untimely death in a car accident leads to Hawk and Dove's first retirement. As Hank connects with Don Granger, Minka Kelly, over shared grief and trauma, he once again dons the Hawk persona, with a new Dove fighting alongside him. The two would become friends and allies with Dick Grayson, Brenton Thwaites, and Donna Troy, Conor Leslie, to form the first generation of Titans. Ritchson's Hank Hall is a relatable, damaged, and complex character. Though he's not one of the main team members in the series, Hank is nonetheless one of the most complex characters in Titans. In his introduction, Hank is presented as a hero on the verge of retirement after one last big job. After years of massed heroism with Don, the two decide to retire before the years of vigilantism catch up to them, and their luck runs out, and they're cutting it close. From the get-go, Hank is shown suffering from a history of countless brutal injuries that have all wreaked havoc on his body, highlighting the very real dangers of being a superhero. From broken bones to concussions, Hank's medical chart could read like an autopsy, considering how much damage he sustained over his career. But it's that accumulation of injuries and the tangible consequences of massed vigilantism that makes Hank so compelling. Alan Ritchson's rise to prominence in Hollywood is a testament to his versatile acting skills, physical presence, and tenacity. Before he became the towering, no-nonsense embodiment of Jack Reacher in Amazon Prime's hit series Reacher, Ritchson's journey was filled with varied roles that helped shape his career. Among those, his portrayal of Arthur Curry, a struggling superhero in Smallville, stands out as a performance that helped prepare him for his breakthrough in Reacher in more ways than one. Ritchson first donned the persona of Aquaman, Arthur Curry, in the mid-2000s, when Smallville was already a fan-favorite show. Known for its unique take on Superman's origins, Smallville introduced several DC Comics characters along the way, and Ritchson's Aquaman made his debut in Season 5. Though Aquaman is traditionally seen as a powerful and regal figure in the DC universe, Ritchson's version was more grounded and vulnerable. His Arthur Curry wasn't the king of Atlantis yet. He was a young man still figuring out his place in the world, much like the Clark Kent portrayed by Tom Welling. This portrayal offered Ritchson the chance to play a character with strength and charisma, but also with layers of insecurity and doubt, a combination that would serve him well in his later roles. Arthur Curry, as seen in Smallville, was not a superhero in the traditional sense. He had abilities superhuman swimming speed, strength, and a connection to the ocean, but his storylines focused on the internal struggles of trying to reconcile his powers with his identity and purpose. This duality in Aquaman's character required Ritchson to navigate emotional complexity, which allowed him to develop a deep understanding of the physical and psychological pressures of being a hero. In many ways, Arthur Curry was a man searching for his own path, not unlike Jack Reacher, the ex-military police officer who roams the country in search of justice on his own terms. This role was more than just a step toward physical stardom for Ritchson. It was an introduction to the emotional intensity required for portraying heroes who are not as straightforward as they seem. While Aquaman, like many superheroes, possessed great power, Ritchson's portrayal brought a vulnerability that wasn't often highlighted in live-action comic book adaptations at the time. Arthur struggled with belonging, with a sense of responsibility, and with the weight of his powers, internal battles that prefigured the intense, silent conflicts Jack Reacher would face years later. Fast forward to 2022, when Alan Ritchson stepped into the boots of Jack Reacher, the beloved hero from Lee Child's best-selling novels. On the surface, Reacher and Arthur Curry seem worlds apart. Reacher is a former military man, a drifter with a penchant for solving mysteries and exacting brutal justice. He is calculated, logical, and unswerving in his commitment to punishing those who deserve it. But look closer, and Ritchson's earlier work as Aquaman in Smallville helped lay the foundation for this performance. Physically, the roles demanded a similar level of preparation. Aquaman's prowess in water and Reacher's imposing size and fighting skills both required Ritchson to embody the ideal of the hero as physically superior to those around him. But more than just maintaining the muscular physique needed for both roles, Ritchson had already learned to communicate a quiet strength, a trait central to Reacher's character. In Reacher, much like in Smallville, the actor doesn't need to shout to command a scene. His sheer presence is enough. This subtle power born out of confidence and the ability to act decisively was something that Aquaman foreshadowed, even in the more vulnerable moments of Ritchson's early career. Additionally, Ritchson's work on Smallville trained him to handle the complexities of a hero with conflicting loyalties. Arthur Curry faced dilemmas about protecting the seas, while also learning to trust Clark Kent and his land-dwelling companions. In Reacher, these internal conflicts become even more pronounced. Reacher operates outside the law, relying on his own moral code, which often conflicts with the world around him. This sense of being an outsider, of having to constantly decide whether to follow personal instincts or societal expectations, was something Ritchson had already explored in his portrayal of Aquaman. Moreover, the emotional gravitas Ritchson brought to Smallville made it clear that he could deliver a layered performance, even when his character is not saying much. Reacher is a man of few words, and much of Ritchson's acting in the series comes through in subtle shifts in facial expressions or body language qualities honed during his superhero days. In Reacher, there is often a storm of emotion beneath the stoic exterior, something that Arthur Curry also embodied when he was unsure of his destiny or the right course of action. Ultimately, Alan Ritchson's portrayal of Aquaman in Smallville prepared him for Reacher, not just by sharpening his